You butthole sisters better wash your things real good. Because we don't want none of your crotch rot in our dorm.
Man, women in prison movies. The genre there is a high concentration of women in small spaces. These women are potentially a little nuts. But these films are often all about power dynamics and conflicts between inmates and corrupt guards or wardens, between each other, stuff like that. But many of these films tell the story of a new arrival to these surroundings and focus on her struggle to survive inside them. If you think about it, it's not unlike society as a whole. It can be seen as a microcosm of class struggle, racism, and the psychological toll that just trying to live can take on a person. However, it's also about they typically have a ton of nudity, catfights, and every possible form of exploitation that we as viewers can stomach. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we love them. Today's movie is Reform School Girls from 1986. Let's get into it. Women in prison films might just be the spiritual sibling to the type of movie that I talked about in the last video, known Exploitation. Maybe, probably just without the religious iconography, but we definitely get all the sleaze, the lesbianism, the nudity, the power struggles, etc. However, Reform School Girls is different from your run-of-the-mill women in prison film. I mean, I guess if you can try and call any of them run-of-the-mill. But anyway, Reform School Girls is a parody of these exploitative women in prison films that peaked in the 70s, early 80s. It takes the tropes from films like Barbed Wire Dolls from 1976, The Big Bird Cage 1972, Caged Heat from 1974, and amps them up to a campy and absurd level. In fact, Tom DeSimone, the director of this film, had actually directed other more traditional women in prison movies before this one. And some people think this was kind of his way of mocking the genre that he already had a couple of entries in and he helped build. He directed 1982's The Concrete Jungle and the X-rated Prison Girls from 1972. Other notable projects he directed are Hell Night from 1981, Chatterbox from 1977, and this is a wild one. I haven't seen it, but it's about a talking Vij, so maybe it's worth checking out. And he also did Angel 3, The Final Chapter. However, the thing he might be most famous for is that he's the brother of the guy in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, who plays the orderly that drives a cool car, snorts coke, and gets to bang Lana.
Girl, you are so hot.
This movie stars Linda Carroll as Jenny, the quintessential innocent new girl who gets sent to the reform school because she has pretty bad taste in men. Dude brought her along for a robbery gone wrong and he ended up shooting a security guard. Anyway, then we have Wendy O. Williams as Charlie. Man, I'll tell you what, this is basically Wendy O. Williams playing Wendy O. Williams as far as I can tell. So I'm sure I don't really need to get into who she was as a person, but I will anyway because if you don't know her, she is quite a character, man. Often dubbed the Queen of Shock Rock, she was as chaotic as they come. She hated authority, she hated the status quo, and I'm sure she hated you personally. Her look was her own. There was never a boundary that she didn't want to push. She was the gravel voice lead singer of the Plasmatics, but she was more of a counterculture cult of personality in a conservative time than just a singer or an actor. Her stage antics were wild and her wardrobe was even wilder. Now, I might ruffle some feathers with this, but when I was a kid, seeing her on MTV or whatever else she would be on, she was always a little alarming to me. I thought of her as that insane woman with the ugly face and hot bod that I had no desire to ever meet. You might sit there and try to tell me that I'm just scared of a strong woman, and I'll tell you what, if by strong woman you mean someone hinged and unpredictable, that it wouldn't be surprising if out of nowhere she took a dump in the street and then threw it at you, then yes, I'm terrified. We then have Sybil Danning as Warden Sutter. She's the tough-as-nails dictator of the prison, so much so that she's always wearing a pseudo-Nazi uniform while carrying out her daily responsibilities. Pat Ast is head matron Edna. She might actually be my favorite character in this movie. She's loud, obnoxious, cruel, and just so over the top that she's fun to watch. She reminds me a little of Beulah Ballbricker in Porky's, but just a little bit more sadistic. Finally, we have Charlotte McGinnis as Dr. Norton, the well-meaning but powerless social worker who actually cares about the girls and does her best to help them. As a bonus, we actually have a couple of Friday the 13th alums. We have Tiffany Helm, who played Violet in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, and Darcy DeMoss, who played Nikki in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and these women play a pair of Charlie's lackeys. Oh, one more thing. There is what I like to call a nude cameo by none other than Michelle Bauer, who has about 3 seconds of screen time, but let's just say she makes the most out of it, or the director does anyway. One night, Jenny is out with her idiot boyfriend who botches a robbery that she's driving the getaway car for. This leads to him shooting a security guard and getting caught as they attempt to flee. It doesn't take long for her to be convicted and sent to a reform school where other minors her age are housed while they go through their rehabilitation process. It's kind of a wild school. The warden and head matron are cruel. They enjoy humiliating, torturing, and neglecting the girls. As she's going through the admittance process, Jenny is taught the ropes. Edna, the head matron, runs the prison like a savage. She also has a small clique headed by Charlie, Wendy O. Williams, who are basically her enforcers inside the prison. The prison, it's a school, girls, but anyway, if you see it, it looks like a prison. Now, this is the kind of facility that is only supposed to have minor women incarcerated, meaning under 18. And let's just say that none of them can really pass for being minors, but the fact that Wendy O. Williams is in her mid to upper 30s and looking like a baseball mitt is really pushing it a bit far. Anyway, we're introduced to many of the girls in the prison and we see how they interact with one another. There's not really a very deep plot. We just get a lot of scenes where girls are bullying, they're getting beat, and they're fighting each other. Why do they all have fully coiffed 80s Aquanet hair? And why is their makeup perfect? Listen, I'm not going to complain about that, however, because there are just some really hot girls to look at in the dorm. They also do a great job of decorating their room, hanging handcuffs and tampons all around. But long story short, Jenny and her allies are just sick and tired of the injustice and torment they're put through every single day. And so they basically begin putting together a resistance. The whole movie ends with a huge battle that includes fights, fire, guns ablazing. We even get a sweet stunt performed by Wendy O. Williams herself, obviously to the disdain of the production team, where she's driving in a bus. She kicks out the windshield and she jumps off the bus right as it runs into a giant watchtower. And it's all her too. She did all that, and I guess that's just Wendy O's way. All right, so let's take a minute to talk about some of the tropes of this genre and how this film apes them. Women in prison films famously have cruel and sadistic authority figures, and reform school girls, they are cartoonishly evil. From Warden Sutter donning the full black leather SS-inspired dominatrix gear and carrying around a riding crop, to Edna maniacally laughing while hosing inmates down, stomping on a pet kitten, and torching a stuffed bunny. Then we have Wendy O. Williams as a ruler of the yard. Man, she is over-the-top aggressive, abrasive, and campy. She's that way in real life, so I guess it really lends itself well to what DeSimone was going for in this movie. But I think the most obvious parody has to go to the outfits worn in the dorms. I mean, listen, I'm not ashamed to admit that a lot of what I enjoy about women in prison movies is the hot new chicks. Oh, I kind of wish I didn't say that so bluntly out where people can just find that, like my mom or my kids. So what the, anyways, I'm just going to let it go. So pray for me, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I mean, this movie understands that we do like the hot naked chicks. And this movie just leans into it by dressing the girls like lace-clad groupies, waiting outside after a Wingers concert, which, if you do remember the 80s, was a very real demographic. It also hits all the marks of a women in prison movie and does it in a hysterical fashion. I mean, we have the delousing scene, the shower scene with the aforementioned nude cameo by Michelle Bauer, cat fights, pillow fights, illustrating just how silly the whole genre can be. And they do it for real in those old ones. They're doing it straight serious. Anyways, Reform School Girls presents itself as a tongue-in-cheek, campy film that really makes the audience take a step back and realize how ridiculous the whole genre is. However, that's not to say I didn't enjoy the holy hell out of it. It's really just so fun and silly in tone. For the most part, it stays light and ridiculous. I guess it's a piece of trash cinema parodying other trash cinema, which somehow makes it even more beautiful. Finally, the soundtrack is great. It even includes a few tunes by Wendy O. Williams. It's My Life, which, by the way, John Bon Jovi would later cover. I'm joking. That's different girl. Different song. Her other song, Bad Girl, Going Wild, and the title song to Reform School Girls, called Reform School Girls. Was that implied in what I say? Anyway, just another reason that this movie is great. And I'll tell you what, this is a fun one. And Wendy O. Williams' music is great, even though she kind of gives me like weird vibes. But some of that stuff that she did, especially for this movie, it was really great. And she did a great job. Anyway, That's all I got for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching it, man. I do appreciate it. If you haven't seen Reform School Girls, it's been a while, I would suggest you check it out. It's super fun. It's most of these videos, I'm like, okay, these are cool. Yeah, I liked it, whatever. But honestly, this one is just, I just sat and laughed through the whole thing. So if you need to pick me up, turn this one on, and it'll do the job. Anyway, I guess that's all I got. Again, like, subscribe, and do all the cool stuff that cool YouTube guys want you to do, and it would make me very happy. But until next time, I'll catch you later.